Hey Mandarin learners and parents, today we're going to learn some Chinese phrases from current events as seen on Chinese social media. I'm going to break down some phrases that have popped up online during the current China-US trade negotiations.
Bowing to a bully is like drinking poison to quench thirst.
And we'll analyze some Chinese reactions, including showing national pride to using clever humor to learn something you might not know about Chinese culture. First is the national attitude from China towards the US during this trade war. China won't kneel. In Chinese, it's 中国不跪. 中国不跪. This reflects China's deep-seated historical memory of past foreign interference to promote strong national unity, sovereignty, and dignity. 不跪 means never kneel. In Chinese culture, kneeling is a gesture of submission, so this phrase conveys a resolute stance against any perceived external pressure to impose terms on China. And it taps into the narrative of China's rejuvenation and overcoming a century of humiliation to take its rightful place in the global world order. Now imagine when someone threatens to punch you. If you hit me, I'll hit you back. In Chinese, there's an idiom, 以牙还牙, that literally translates into a tooth for a tooth. 以牙还牙. Now, emotionally and psychologically, throughout this trade war, when China raises tariffs on Chinese stuff, or when the US raises tariffs on Chinese stuff, China will reciprocate and will never back down. Since China has a history of being treated unfairly by foreigners, this is an understandable national sentiment and not to be underestimated. Now, how do Chinese stay positive and optimistic? 吃亏是福. 吃亏是福. It means suffering a loss is a blessing, which is about finding the good in a bad situation, like learning from a mistake. But in the context of the Chinese trade war, netizens in China have been using this phrase sarcastically. Sarcastically is 讽刺的. 讽刺的. All right, so China getting hit with tariffs will cause hardships, which is 吃苦, resulting in many eating bitterness. By sarcastically saying, 哎，吃亏是福吧, means, hey, we're taking a hit, but maybe it's a good thing, forcing China to become more self-reliant and find new ways to grow. So this demonstrates that the Chinese have a way of finding a silver lining even in a tough situation. Now, tariffs and other actions from the US may be unintentionally benefiting China on the global stage. So there's humor being used here too. 川建国. 川建国 literally translates into Trump builds the nation, all right? Because 川普 is Trump in Chinese. Now, Chinese believe that US tariffs and other policies push it to become more independent, focus on developing its own technology, and strengthen its domestic market. Since the American president is solely to blame for recent tariff escalations, Chinese netizens are saying Trump builds the nation. 川建国. So this is a playful and mockingly way to look at the situation, suggesting that sometimes your opponent's move can unintentionally have benefits. I think this also shows some unique Chinese humor during this ongoing trade war. Now, let's look at some Chinese state propaganda. Bowing to a bully is like drinking poison to quench thirst, as shown on a recent video. All right? 向霸权低头就如同饮鸩止渴. 向霸权低头就如同饮鸩止渴. 饮鸩止渴 is an idiom that immediately conveys the idea that while submitting to a hegemonic pressure might offer a temporary benefit, it will inevitably lead to severe and irreversible negative consequences in the long run. This resonates with China's cultural emphasis on long-term thinking and avoiding short-sighted actions. Now, 低头 emphasizes loss of agency and dignity. It translates into bowing one's head, a powerful image of submission and loss of autonomy. Culturally, maintaining dignity and national pride are highly valued, and using this phrase suggests that yielding to a bully compromises these fundamental values. 低头. All right, so let's take this exercise one step further to see if there are even better translations. All right, so bowing to a bully. So the translation is hegemony, but bully actually is 恶霸. That's the proper translation for bully. And 如同 is quite formal, so if you were to say it, you would probably just say 像. So I would translate bowing to a bully is like drinking poison to quench thirst as 向恶霸低头，就像饮鸩止渴。向恶霸低头，就像饮鸩止渴。All right, so if you have other Chinese phrases you'd like me to break down the translations for, just leave me a comment or just leave me a like to say you like this type of video. Thanks. See you in the next one.